Hi everyone, welcome back to the next diecast. In today's video, I'll be unboxing and reviewing this 1/24th scale 2008 Chevrolet Tahoe made by Welly. I bought this model from policecarmodels.com for around $19. There was some shipping too, but I actually got multiple cars in my order from them, including this Tahoe that you'll be seeing in a future video. So this is made by Welly. It comes in a variety of colors. You have the police versions, which come with different wheels, and of course they come with some extra sets of light bars and stuff. This is just a regular kind of street version Tahoe that Welly also makes. They make that in black, white, and I think silver as well. You can see it's in the current box design that Welly's been using for a few years now. This is from the Next series, New Exploration of Models, and there's the model name on there. Extra plastic holding the car in place, or the SUV I should say. Diecast model, etc. Next, and then there's more stuff on the back here. Then you have some licensees and stuff on the bottom there. And a diagram showing the opening features of the car, or cars I should say. So we'll go ahead and get the model out of the box. We'll get it out from the side here. Let's get this opened up. All right, there's our Tahoe. Kind of dusty, but that's okay. And it looks like it is held down by 2 screws. So let's go ahead and get that unscrewed. I was glad to find this on policecarmodels.com. For a while, they had the black and white unmarked, like law enforcement Tahoe by Welly, but they didn't have any of the street versions, but they recently restocked. So if you want to get a Welly Tahoe of your own at 1/24th scale, the policecarmodels.com site has several. There's 3 of the police versions and 2 of the just street versions available. And this car also comes, or this SUV I should say, also comes in 1/43rd scale as well from a Welly, which is kind of cool. Only wish there was a 1/18th scale version. That would be fantastic. All right, here it is out of the box. They always put their production dates on the bottoms of these, which is interesting. It looks like, yeah, it's pretty dusty. We'll clean this up real quick. All right, got it all dusted off. Well, for the most part, looks like a pretty cool model. Of course, you have the opening doors, which open up on dog legs, and then the opening hood, which is kind of a surprise. And kind of stiff too. There we go. No steering on this one, unfortunately, but at least you do get the opening doors and hood. All right, now on to the review. All right, let's take a closer look at this 2008 Chevy Tahoe by Welly. So Welly actually makes 2 different versions of this Tahoe, as I did mention in the unboxing part of the video. The police version, they make that. That comes in 3 different color schemes, and that, of course, has kind of the dog dish wheels on it. That comes in all white, I think, maybe an all black, and a black and white. And these are all kind of unmarked versions. And there is one version of the police Tahoe that Welly made that was just like a Chevrolet or General Motors like livery on it. It wasn't like a specific town or city. And the police versions are kind of cool because they do come with actually 3 sets of light bars that you can install on the car, or on the SUV, I should say. And those versions do have the holes on the roof to mount these light bars. And they also come with a push bar too that you can just kind of stick onto the front. And of course, Welly also makes kind of the regular version of the Tahoe, which is what you see here. And that currently comes in black and white. But in the past, Welly did make it also in kind of a champagne and kind of a light metallic blue. And Welly also makes the 2008 Tahoe in 1/43rd scale as well. And that is going to be a pullback kind of die-cast car. So you can find either version of Welly's 2008 Tahoe for usually between $15 and $25, depending on where you buy it from. The policecarmodels.com site currently has these for sale for around $19, both the police versions and the regular versions. They have, I think, every color that's available currently. So in total, that's about maybe 6 or 7 different versions, which is a pretty cool selection, I would say. I opted for the all black, just kind of regular version of the Tahoe. I think it looks super cool. And overall, I think the details are pretty well done for a 1/24th scale model, and definitely pretty well done for a Welly model as well. So we'll go ahead and take a look at the details in the front here. Nice looking headlights. There are pegs in them, but they're kind of hard to see because they're kind of, I guess, hidden within these bulbs on here. And they are nice and flush with the body, which is nice to see. Then you do have kind of a center grille here with that Chevrolet kind of a bow tie symbol that is raised up. I don't think it's a separately cast plastic piece, but it sure looks like it. So I think Welly did a good job with that for sure. And nice detailing with these grills too. They are not perforated, but at least the chrome trim looks pretty nice, and the mesh pattern is at least somewhat convincing. And of course, the whole front is made of die-cast metal, which is great to see. On the side, you have kind of the typical 5-spoke wheels that you see on a lot of these Tahoes from this era. This generation was made from 2007 until 2014. And you can actually narrow down the year range if you happen to see one based off the presence or the lack of the GM badge up here. From 2007 through 2010, all Tahoes and Suburbans had that little GM badge up there. Then after 2010, they omitted that, and it just said Tahoe or Suburban. And you also had the badge of whatever trim level the vehicle is. So in this case, Welly is modeling this after the LT trim. So with the Tahoe, you had the LS, the LT, and the LTZ. The LT was kind of like the mid-level trim. So just some trivia there, I suppose. But these wheels came standard on the LT Tahoe, and Welly does mold them, I think, pretty nicely. And they do roll very good, too, which is nice to say. And then you do have the badging on the sides. You have the Tahoe and the GM badge and the LT badge up on here, which you would, of course, see on the real Tahoe. And these are kind of nice and embossed on there. Sturdy side mirrors, which is always nice to see. And then you do have these kind of plastic running boards going alongside the SUV as well. I think the Tahoes came standard with the running boards. And on the current Tahoe, the running board actually pops out automatically when you open up the door, which is pretty cool. On these older Tahoes, of course, they were kind of just fixed in place. In the back, okay taillights. There is some pegs in them, but they're only visible from the side, so from the back you can't really see them. Then you have the Chevrolet badge, Flex Fuel down there, and Tahoe on the left side. And you actually have a molded in kind of trailer hitch back here too. I think that was an option on this Gen Tahoe. I don't think they all came standard with that, but Welly does mold that in place there, which is pretty cool to see. And then you do have this kind of reservoir here too, which is a separately cast plastic piece underneath the hatch. And Welly does put in 3 rows of seats on here. Now, Tahoes do actually have 3 rows of seats. I think a common kind of misconception is that the Suburbans are the ones that have 3 rows of seats, and they in fact do. And Tahoes only have 2 rows of seats. I think for the first gen Tahoe, from like the 90s, they only had 2 rows of seats, but from I think the 2000s onward, they had 3 rows of seats. So in this case of this Welly model, you have the 2 front kind of a bucket seats, and then you have a middle bench seat and a 3rd row bench seat. And at least for the current Tahoe, you can get a full bench seat for all 3 rows, which means that you can seat 9 people. Or you can have the 2 captain's chairs in the front, 2 captain's chairs in the back, and the full bench in the back, or have the bench, and 2 bucket seats, as you see for this particular version here. So kind of cool. I was doing some research on the Tahoe, and I did find that out. And that is kind of cool that you can pretty much fit 9 people in this if you opt to, if you happen to have the 3 bench seats. So some more trivia there, I suppose. And then on the roof, you have these kind of roof racks going on. One's a bit loose, but I don't think that's a big deal. Opening features, you do have the opening hood. Take a look at that. Tahoes all have the V8s in them. I think Welly does a decent job of kind of replicating that in here, especially for a 1/24th scale vehicle. You do have some depth going on in there, and there is a few separately cast plastic pieces. Like here's this white component back here, and the main block is kind of nice and molded. It does say something up there, but I can't really read it. The hood would definitely open wider if this were the real like 1-to-1 scale Tahoe, but on this Welly model, it doesn't open up too high. Not a big deal. At least the hood opens up to begin with, so not a big deal. But there is some nice depth in here, and you do have some different coloring and some, a few wires and hoses throughout. So I think it's an overall well-done engine for a 1/24th scale model. So that's cool to see. And you do have opening doors as well. They open up on dog legs, as you'll see here. Decently detailed interior, as you'll see. Now, some versions of this model will have the wood grain that goes between these AC vents and then around the trim of this kind of center stack here. And that is proper. I don't think the Tahoe, unless you maybe got the LS version, had just the all black dashboard like this. You either had silver trim or wood grain trim, but I assume for like the police versions, they had just this black, just this all black. So I assume Welly just kind of reused this dashboard from the police Tahoe. Now, on the police Tahoes that Welly makes, you are going to have a similar interior, but you will have some kind of radios and a computer equipment in here. I think there might be some kind of like dashboard mounted camera or something in there as well. But I guess all in all, this dashboard could use some more detailing. And I have definitely seen some Welly 124 scale Tahoes that do have the wood grain painted on there. I don't know if maybe they cut costs for this newer version here and they just got rid of that. I'm not too sure on that, but at least you can add the silver yourself, which I might actually do. And it's pretty simple to add. You see where that kind of line is between this vent and that vent. That should be silver or wood grain, and then that kind of trim surrounding these buttons should be wood grain or silver. Speaking of the buttons, everything's there, but nothing's really colored in, and that's kind of what you see a lot of on these 124 scale models from a Welly, unfortunately. At least the buttons are kind of properly, molded in place and everything like that. They do kind of redeem themselves with the steering wheel, though. The steering wheel kind of has a unique look and texture to it, and you do have that kind of Chevrolet badge in the middle, and all the different steering wheel buttons on either side of that. And then you have the column shifter as well, which seems like it's a separately cast plastic piece, but it's actually part of the steering column on this die-cast model. Decent door panel detailing, too. Zoom out a little bit. You can see there is some molded in like window buttons on there and stuff, but it is kind of all black. I think the door handle itself should be kind of silver. And I think even the door lock would have some kind of chrome tip on it or something. But I think for a 124 scale model, these door panels definitely do look fairly well done. And you have functional door pockets on these too, which is pretty cool to see. These seats are also well done. They are the proper size and shape, and you do have kind of a nice texture on them as well. And I think Welly does do a nice job with the other two seats as well. And even in the very back here, they even bother to mold in this kind of storage tray, which is kind of between the seat and the rear window. You wouldn't necessarily be able to see that too well, but Welly does actually go in there and add that detail, which is very cool to see. You don't have any kind of headliner. You do have some level of detail right there with kind of the garage door openers and stuff, but aside from that, not really a whole lot to say. But I think for a 124th scale model, the interior of this is good. It's not great. It could use some more detailing, but I think for the scale that this is, it is pretty well detailed. And I think that holds true for this model as a whole. So overall, I think if you're looking for a model of the 07 through 14 Tahoe, this Welly version, I think, is going to be your best bet. As of now, no 1/18 scale models exist of the 07 to 14 Tahoe. This is, I think, the biggest version that you can get. And it is kind of cool that Welly has like the police version and the regular version as well. And these are pretty easy to find now. Welly is currently still making this casting, so it should be relatively simple to find for under $25. But I'd say if you're a fan of SUVs, or if you're a fan of the Tahoe in general, I think this is a good model that you can get for your collection. And I think for a Welly, it's definitely good compared to their other offerings that they have. So feel free to comment down below with your thoughts on this model. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.